Hey y'all, Monk Joseph with the Broken Buddha. Today I got an interesting topic. We're going to do 10 things you don't know about religion. Probably don't know about religion. All right, so I'm going to jump right into it. These are all facts that you can look up. I am going to freestyle it because I like to just shoot off the memory so it doesn't seem too pre planned or wordsmithed, you know, to sway. So I've got my 10 facts here. I'm going to do a separate video on some opinions from my research, but this is not opinionated. You can look the stuff up. So here we go. I'm going to tell you what it is, and I'll do a quick little spiel about what I know. I will try to keep this quick. Let's see how much of this you really know and how well you know your religions. Number one, Islam is older than Tibetan Buddhism. The Dalai Lama is the head of Tibetan Buddhism, and most of you are familiar with Islam or Muslims to some extent. And that religion was created around 600 AD, whereas Tibetan Buddhism was created around 800 AD. Now, the practices go back way further than that, but as far as the creation of the religion, if you, as you're studying these things, you would never consider that the more ancient looking religion is actually the newer one. So that's a fun fact. Two, the word rapture was never mentioned in the Bible. Um, Go ahead and look through it. The rapture is based on revelations and a bunch of other selected teachings as an idea of what people thought it would look like when Yahushua comes back. But I have lots of contingency to this, or lots of issue with this. But again, for those out there who think that the word rapture was ever stated in the Bible, it was not. Look it up. Okay. Buddha is not a person. Number three, Buddha means the awakened one. So Siddhartha Gautama is the person you think of when you think of the Buddha. But there was a Buddha from like 17,000 years ago. There's another one like 3,000, 3,500 years ago. And yeah, so they pop up. But that's just the name of anybody who is a fully awakened being. So Buddha is not a person. Get that out of your head. Number four, Muslims believe in the Immaculate Conception. Yeah, Christians, how you like that one? Yeah, that's a fact. Their issue is with the father son dichotomy, which is they believe is completely absurd. Which I agree. It's more like you know, uh, it's more of like a being incarnate. Not so much. We don't have to box everything as we can understand it, but I understand why we do and why some people do. But yeah, they fully believe in the Immaculate Conception. Look it up. Number five, Jesus' name is Yehoshua, Yeshua, or Joshua. I think it's hilarious that even though this is common knowledge, and people are going to watch us and be like, duh, I know that, duh. But then you're going to go home and stub your toe and be like, so you don't know and you don't believe. You're just like on some weird pattern of invalidating your ego after you see this. Anyway, and this is important, by the way. If you are a Christian, there is a passage in Matthew that says you have to know the name of your sage to get into heaven, and that's it. And some of you aren't even going to know the name, and if you do, you're going to be in too heightened of a state to be able to recall it, and you're just going to say the wrong name. Anyway, not the point. I'm getting off topic. You're right. Number six, Judeo Christian sages invoke demons. So, for those of you who don't know, I'll tell this differently. So, I think it's funny that modern Judeo Christians are like so occultish driven or anti-driven that they'll say things like don't do tai chi, it's black magic. But at the same time you have sages like King Solomon, who was knowingly using hordes of demons from the four directions to do his and God's work, but then don't do tai chi because that's black magic. You see what I'm saying? All right, anyway, not the point. Okay. I just think it's fun, good stuff. Like I said, look all this stuff up. Number seven, Hinduism is a cosmological explanation. So if you ever study Hinduism, you'll be like all these deities and gods, and there's so many things, and it can't be, and it's polytheistic. And at the core of it, you have in either one of them. I mean, everybody differs on who the source is or ultimate creator is. Be it Shakti, which is power itself, or Brahma, Vishnu, or Shiva. Either way, they're all the core of it is just saying this is where existence comes from, this is the physicality of it, and this will explain your experience at the core. And I'm not saying that this is explaining all of it perfectly, because if you get into Hinduism, there are a lot of different versions and sects of Hinduism. So, but this is just the basic core. If you don't know that Hinduism is originally a cosmological explanation, I'm telling you right now, it is a cosmological explanation. And we'll be more on that in a second. Oh no, that's a different one. Okay. they just gave sentience to cosmological things. There's something powering all of existence. It has to have sentience because it's superior to us. Physical existence is here. We can see that. That has to have a sentience. And that's just kind of where they were going with it. They were trying to understand things and accepting that all things had sentience and all things were sentient, not just them. So you really just got to get down to the meat of it. Number 8, Shaktism and Bon are the two oldest religions. Now, this is a weird one because this is tricky. When you get into the oldest religions, I'll start by saying Buddhism is arguably the oldest religion, because Buddhism meaning you're just studying a heightened, the awakened state or fully informed state of the human mind, and that's been around, I'm sure, since humans were able to understand that they were conscious, or beings were able to understand they were conscious, and started figuring out how to improve it and how to be, more aware and more knowledgeable about their environment. That being said, Taoism could also be it. The reason I'm naming these first, the first two I mentioned, Shaktism and Bon, they're the written ones. The ones I'm talking about now, are the unwritten ones. Taoism is a good running for it because if you ever study Taoism, it's more like the ancient study of being human. And their work goes back before their culture. So if you understand international ancient medicine. So that's a fascinating one. And then the other reason I would say Judaism is because Judaism is arguably an offshoot of Shaktism, or the other way around. The symbol for Judaism is the Shiva Shakti reuniting. Um, and so, one is either obviously from the other, but it is interesting because it does have the potentials to be as old as Shaktism, because that's where I see it as coming from. Shaktism is 22,000 years old. Bon is 17,000 years old. That's why I state them as the two oldest religions. Look it up. Doesn't matter if you believe it. Humans will believe whatever they want, whether it's true or not. So there we go. Number 9, Yeshua never said he was the Son of God. And like I said in my last opinion, what's my opinion that it's more like God incarnate. It's not my opinion, it's what the scriptures and texts say. But yeah, he never said he was the Son of God. Look it up. The Bible is in and out talking about the sons of God, Old Testament and New Testament. So there's that. And the closest he ever came was saying, I am the way, the light, the truth, which is, depictions of God at the time. The truth is what the Hindus and Buddhists would have believed. The light is more than likely pointing to Ahura Mazda, or the being of pure light and compassion out of Zoroaster, which was the other big religion then. And then the way, Taoism, was big back then too. So he was just identifying with the beings of God at the time. That's the closest he ever came. And I'm not saying, by the way, it's not God incarnate, because my Buddhist studies would say something different. The Buddhist studies state that any being that is that being will incarnate within itself miraculously. So it is what it is. But I'm just saying that it's not said. Again, this is a facts list. 10 facts you didn't know. Jesus, in case you missed that first part, never said he was the Son of God. All right. And lastly, but not least, atheism and nihilism are not new. I think it's pretty funny these days to watch the younger generation, and even like my parents' generation, come up and be like, I'm a nihilist or atheist, and I'm the first and smartest of everybody. But it's really interesting because that goes back to like the earliest scriptures and scriptures and descriptions of society. So it's really interesting that you have, you know, I'm sitting over here reading books that go back to the beginning of written history, talking about nihilists and atheists. But yet, every time I meet a nihilist or atheist, I have to deal with this like, I'm the new smartest person first to discover this in the world, and I'm like, you didn't see the guy right next to you just discover this thing that's been around forever. So it's humorous to me that it's not new, and that's the fact. So I may have to. We'll see how this goes. How long are we running here? I can't see it. Okay, so we're just a little bit under 10 minutes. So that's it. Do your own research. Again, they were 1, Islam is older than the Bible. 2, the rapture was never mentioned in the Bible. 3, Buddha is not a person. 4, Muslims believe in the Immaculate Conception. 5, Jesus' name is Yehoshua, Yeshua, or Joshua. 6, Judeo-Christian sages invoked demons to help them do their work. 7, Hinduism is a cosmological explanation at its core. 8, Shaktism and Bon are the two oldest known religions, potentially being predated only by Judaism, Taoism, and or Buddhism. 9, Yeshua, or Jesus, never said he was the Son of God. God incarnate is more like it. And lastly, number 10, atheism and nihilism is not new, so stop pretending you're smarter than everybody and doing something fresh, man. You're as old as what you're doing is older than written history, written religious history even. which is old, predates. Anyway, not the point. So there you have it. Thanks for stopping by. Do your own research, check it out, and I hope you enjoyed this video.